Welcome to our channel. Today, we're diving into the spine-chilling stories of the top 5 moments when people felt the overwhelming urge to escape right away. If you enjoy creepy and thrilling content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more. A friend and I were exploring an abandoned hospital, and the way it was set out was via a bunch of joined buildings. All the windows and doors were boarded up aside from one place where we could squeeze in past a loose board, and the layout meant that once we were in through there, we had access to pretty much the entire main building. Obviously, it was darker than dark in there, and we have to remember which wing we'd come in from. We had flashlights, so it wasn't too bad. But then we got to this room where there was a lot of cool stuff left behind, beds, filing cabinets, etc., and we wanted to take pictures, so we turned the flashlights off so we could use the flash on the camera. We did this for 10 minutes or so, only seeing the room in the bright flash from the camera. Everything was cool, and then we both slowly became aware of noises. Usually an abandoned building is pretty quiet, apart from water dripping and wind doing weird things, but we could hear floors creaking, doors creaking, and the occasional scrape or crash of metal against the floor. Basically, it sounded like someone was blundering around in the dark. Now, the layout means that in order to get back to where we came in, we have to walk back towards the noise. There's only one route. We're getting freaked out, so we start moving back through the rooms, stopping to listen all the while. Finally, we get to the side hall that we came in from, and we bolt to the door at the end, finally risking turning the flashlights on and making noise. It's the wrong fucking door. We stand there, listening to the footsteps get closer. We're frozen, standing in the dark, totally cornered. If whoever or whatever is making that noise comes down this short hall, we're fucked. We wait and listen, holding our breaths. The scraping and shuffling approaches, slowly comes past, and then fades. We wait a bit, and then creep out of the hall and into the main building again. Carefully, we move one hall over, where we can see a sliver of light from the loose board. We quietly make our way towards it. Then we hear an almighty scrape and bang behind us, as though someone tipped over one of the huge metal filing cabinets. I mean, it was loud. I yell, "Time to go!" And we sprint for the door, and there are clear footsteps right behind us. We launch ourselves through the loose board and down the overgrown path before taking a quick look back. We can't see anything through the small gap, but we do not stick around to see if that changes. This happened in the late 90s. I was around 16 and cruising around with a friend in his Jeep. We stopped at a gas station to get some smoke, and we started talking to these 2 girls our age in the store. They invite us to a lock-in for their youth group at the YMCA, but we have to attend some youth group meetings first. Neither my friend nor I are religious, but these girls are cute, so we accept. We run home to grab some things to keep us occupied for the lock-in and drive up to the church. We go in, are greeted by our new friends, and are taken to the sanctuary. The sermon starts, and it gets progressively more and more weird. And it is dragging on and on and on, to the point where my buddy grabs a pen and draws this crazy dragon-breathing fire on the leg of his jeans. Anyway, I notice that the doors have large, older men standing beside them, blocking them. Then the minister drops this line. "Tonight, the bus crashes on the way to the lock-in. Will you go to heaven?" We both looked up and at each other to verify what we heard and got up to leave. We were immediately called out, so we booked it for the only non-blocked door. It was locked. The folks blocking the doors were now running towards us. We both took off, jumping on the seats of the pews and hopping the backs. We managed to get to a fire door, pull the alarm, and run to the Jeep. Once in the Jeep, we peel out and look for the exit. The idling charter bus that is taking everyone the 10 miles to the YMCA is now blocking the exit, and the people from inside are running at the Jeep. We ended up just cutting through a field and down to a service road that eventually took us back to the highway, and we booked it back to my buddy's house. We ended up waking his parents up and explaining everything to them, who in turn called the police. The church was locked up tight with no one in sight, and the YMCA didn't have a scheduled lock-in that night. There were no reports of a crashed charter bus that we could find, though. Who knows where all those kids ended up? I've staffed a summer camp for 5 years now. A long-standing tradition is that some of the senior staffers regularly sneak out during the night and drive into town to hang out and generally be hooligans. Me and 4 other guys pushed a car around the bend from the parking lot to avoid waking up the adults, then hopped inside and headed towards the town. After a couple hours of jokes, Baja blasts from Taco Bell, and teaching one of our goons how to drive in an empty parking lot, we're driving down country roads, joking around, and listening to music. That is, until we turn down a random road and something immediately feels off. It's about 3:30 a.m. as we start down a hill, and suddenly the road goes from asphalt to gravel to dirt. We notice an old rusted boat trailer on its side, a bunch of old tools, rotting piles of wood, and a general mess. When we reach the bottom of the hill, there's a big shed with a garage door that's wide open, and another shed seemingly made out of plywood with a door creaking open. There's a light shining through the crack of the door, faintly flickering, and a fuse box right outside the door. The mood of the car changed in an instant. For just a moment, we all sat in silence, watching the light flicker. No one said anything, but we could all tell that something didn't feel right. Eventually, to ease the tension that we were all feeling, we started to joke, as teenage boys do, jeering at one of our friends to go turn off the light or open the door, when suddenly the door creaked open. The next few moments are a blur, but I can assure you that this was the fastest an early 2000s Toyota Camry has ever booked up a dirt road. All 5 of us stayed just about silent during the 15-minute drive back to camp. Something about the aura of the place felt off. To this day, when I imagine sitting in the front seat of that car, I get an uneasy feeling in my stomach. Was someone behind that door? Why were they there at 3:30 in the morning? We planned to spend one of the last weekends of winter at a ski resort quite close to us. It was me, my boyfriend, and another couple. The plan was to spend the weekend at a cabin that we had access to but that we knew was in very poor condition. We didn't mind knowing we had electricity and heating, and that was all we needed. We got there around 6 p.m. It was already dark because we left after work and decided that we would party that night and go skydiving the next day. Anyway, so we get there, and soon realize there is no electricity in the entire resort. The whole mountain was in a blackout. We didn't want to leave, even if we could, because it was close to home, 1-hour drive. I felt weird about it. I said maybe we should leave multiple times, but the rest were really into staying. So I said, okay, we will try to stay for a bit, but if things get ugly, we leave. And damn, they got ugly. Because there was no electricity, we didn't have heat. The cabin has a heating system that requires electricity and wood. Wood for heating a container of water and electricity to pump the water into the radiators. If we started the fire, the water container would blow up. The boys decided to go into town and get a generator from a friend. They got back with the generator at around 11 p.m. Meanwhile, me and the other girl stayed at the cabin, freezing our ovaries off. We stared, drinking alcohol, dancing, and playing music on our phones to keep ourselves warm. Outside, it was a snowstorm. You could barely see one's shoes. The boys came back, and we had to help them get some water bottles from the car that was parked 50 meters outside the cabin. It was so dark outside, windy and cold that I never experienced something even close to that. Anyway, so the cabin has a semi-basement, and we thought it was smart to put the generator there. You may know where this is going. We got electricity and started a fire for the heating. It was so much smoke in the cabin that we had to open the windows. That was the moment when I was out. I told them I didn't want to stay anymore. I know how that was supposed to work, and it was not okay that the chimney was not pulling the smoke away. It was already 1 a.m., and we were all so tired and a bit drunk, but we still decided to stay for a little bit more. Now let me tell you, It was still fucking cold. I never in my life felt so cold. My body was shaking, and I literally forgot what warmth feels like. We went to sleep, or at least tried to sleep. Me and my boyfriend got a room upstairs, and the other couple stayed downstairs. I tried everything to warm myself up. I even proposed to my boyfriend to get naked, and maybe we could warm ourselves a little. I was so scared of the smoke, by then it wasn't that much anymore, that I couldn't rest my mind at all. Fast forward 2 hours later, the other couple comes rushing into our room, barely standing, telling us that we have to leave right now. No time for packing, we just had to leave. They told us nothing more and we were already out the door. It seems the fumes from the generator got into their room. The guy almost baked out and the girl managed to get out but passed out in the snow for a few minutes. On the way home, they told us that he got up to put more wood in the fire and he felt really dizzy and told his girlfriend to wake up and get out. They were okay by the end, and the fumes didn't manage to get upstairs to us. Anyway, I wasn't sleeping because of the cold and the smoke from the fireplace. I'm sorry for such a long post. Maybe no one will care to read, but my advice is to just get out when things are not the way they are supposed to be. Me and a buddy of mine went to the casino to celebrate my birthday. I had fun going, getting a few drinks and blowing $100 on slots. Well, it's like 2 a.m. We were both out of money, and then I hit the jackpot on my machine. Lights and noises going off. It was a crazy experience. Someone from the casino comes out to talk to me and asks if I want cash, a check, or a direct deposit. I was drunk, and my dumbass picked up cash. She left and said she'd be back. While she was gone, about 10 people were crowding around me and my friend and asking what machine I hit on, how much, how long I had been playing, etc. The lady came back with 2 guards with her and took me to a room off the main floor. He counted out $9,500 and handed them to me. I sobbed up immediately and realized we needed to fucking go. I go grab my buddy, who was my DD, and we start walking out. This woman is following us, talking, and asking us if we want to go smoke a blunt in her car with her. I'm like, nah. We get in his car and fly out of there. I really thought someone was going to rob my ass.